Welcome back to the Crypto's Key conversation. In today's video, we're going to take a look at some Ripple versus SEC updates. We got some interesting things that I'm going to bring up from a lot of people within the Twitter community and the XRP community here. We have Jeremy Hogan and others, Johnny Deaton. We're going to look at Stuart Alderati and Eleanor Terry, and they're commenting on what's going on with the Ripple versus SEC case and what's going on with Chairman Gensler and kind of his stance on regulating the space. Tag XRP has this great video of this reporter, I think it's from Bloomberg, that was pressing Joe Lubin in this interview, which is quite interesting, quite intriguing. And then over here from Cointelegraph, we're going to be looking at Meta trademark filing hints at plans for crypto payments platform, and then ending on some updates with the the Terra and UST debacle that had devastated the markets in the Terra community. So coming over here at CoinGecko, we're currently sitting at a $1.29 trillion market cap, currently down 5.7% for the day. And if you come down here, we can see Bitcoin sitting at 28,993, still ranging in that 28,000, 30,000 range. Ethereum's sitting just under 2,000. XRP is sitting at 41 cents. See if we have any gainers here. Very small gains within the past 24 hours. And as you can see, we have just hit a 13 on our Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index here, and it's going to have an update in 22 hours. So obviously we saw this thing in single digits at 8. So obviously there's a little bit more optimism, but there's still a lot of fear and uncertainty within the markets, and there's a lot of reasons for that, of course. But it's definitely affecting, not only our market, but, all markets, the geopolitical stuff, inflation in the U.S., and just a lot of other things. Coming over here, James K. Fallon had an update, and he always updates us. I want to thank you, Jim, for putting up this stuff. It says, Ripple defendants filed motion to compel regarding the SEC's deficient responses to Ripple's defendants' fourth set of requests for admissions. So coming over here, we have some Jeremy Hogan, who's an attorney in the XRP community, always gives some great insight from the legal background point of view. And he goes, this motion to compel by Ripple is really an XRP divorce of its fair notice affirmation defense. And although it's always a good idea to get the, quote, other side before passing judgment, this motion makes me think that the judge is going to grant the motion as to every category. Coming down here, he says, a request for admissions reduces the burden of litigation for the parties in court. If the SEC, quote, admits Chair Clayton gave a certain speech and the transcript of the speech is accurate, Ripple now doesn't have to subpoena him to trial just to prove that was indeed his speech. Coming down here, he says, here, remarkably, the SEC won't even concede that certain speeches were made and that the transcripts are on their own website are accurate transcripts of the speeches. This failure by SEC counsel wastes time, money, and resources. Coming down here, he says, in here, the objection that, quote, market participant is ambiguous and therefore the SEC cannot answer the request smells like the type of gamemanship that will get you in trouble in court. Let's see the SEC response, but I wouldn't want to be the attorney drafting that one. So continuing on here, I want to thank Jeremy Hogan for putting that up. Continuing on here, this is from Ashley Prosper, or Ashley Prosper 1, says, oh my God, Ripple launches a veiled threat to subpoena Amy Starr, Hester Pierce, Bill Hammond, Jay Clayton, and Robert Jackson if the SEC fails to confirm public statements made by them. This is getting juicy. So they have this screenshot here. It says, and the highlight here, it says, it is far less expensive and burdensome for the SEC to undertake this inquiry for the limited purposes of confirming that a recording is authentic than for defendants to be forced to subpoena these individuals. So some more information coming from these. If I move on here, did I mess that up? So yeah, so moving on here, J.W. Verrett is referencing John P. Collins' tweet here. When he says, we need good news in crypto. This is good news. If SEC loses its in-house judge advantage, it's a lot harder to bring cases stretching the Howey test beyond its intended contours to try and shut down legit compliant projects compliant right here. So then Stuart Alderati, in regards of, obviously the SEC is, operating their enforcement regulation, or they're regulating by enforcement, and literally trying to throw the Howey test, and they're not even using all the prongs on the Howey test to pretty much prove their cases within court. Stuart Alderati says, He's referencing the block here where it says Gensler tells the Congress that the SEC is really out-personed on crypto. So he says a lot of talk from the SEC about being tech neutral, but the truth is they continue to, quote, regulate all of crypto through enforcement, ignoring the jurisdictional limits. Just because you have a hammer, not everything is a nail, even if you go out and get a bigger hammer. So it's clear based on, actions from the SEC, especially Chairman Gensler, and, him in his own words and his actions it's been obvious that, he really isn't for crypto. He isn't for the investors that he so-called set out to protect. And everything that he's doing is literally just trying to overpower and overregulate by enforcement this entire space. Johnny Deaton's referencing Eleanor Terra's tweet right here, and if I come down here and read it, it's quite interesting. It says, she's talking about Chairman Gensler, during his testimony at a hearing before a subcommittee of the U.S. House Appropriations Committee this morning, SEC Chair Gensler suggested Bitcoin is a commodity token and would fall under the jurisdiction of CFTC. Quote, to the extent that there's a crypto commodity token and there might be a very small number of those, that information would all be sent over to the CFTC, but we have jurisdiction over that vast number of these. Bitcoin, maybe that's a commodity token, so that has a big market value, but that goes over there. He did not mention Ethereum and apologies for posting 3 times. My tweet is now free of spelling mistakes and unnecessary spaces. So she's talking about how she had some issues and stuff that was going on. And obviously a lot of people have been tweeting at Elon Musk to allow us to have like an edit button, which I totally agree. I put out some tweets sometimes and it just completely bombs what I'm trying to do. And it looks like I'm just not grammatically correct at all. Coming back here, Johnny Deaton says, how anti-crypto Gary Gensler is. Read Ellie's tweet thread, which we did. It says, it pains Gensler to acknowledge that Bitcoin is not a security. He said, quote, Bitcoin, maybe that's a commodity token. Maybe. All altcoins, including ETH, better hope Ripple and XRP win the case versus the SEC. Gensler wants to shut it all down, and I've proven on this channel time after time that they're coming after everybody. It's not just digital assets; it's lending platforms, exchanges. They're even coming after DEXs, decentralized exchanges. They're coming after everything. So clearly, Ripple and XRP definitely need to win this case. Coming over here, I thought this was quite interesting. Johnny Deaton's referencing Stefan Huber's tweet here, and if we just look at this, just so you can kind of take a look. If you take a look at all these, I think these are personal emails. You got Bill Hinman, an in-house attorney. If you come over here, it says, after some digging into the Brooklyn Project, I found a list from the December 2018 of lawyers that can be reached via their private email addresses. Among them is Billy Boy Hinman of Simpson Thatcher, who already used his SEC email to write some pretty sensitive stuff to his partners. So Johnny Deaton saying, I said a long time ago I was confident there would be no non-SEC email addresses on the long email chain related to his speech. It would break confidentiality and Judge Netburn would rule accordingly. The question is, was the speech sent by Hinman or others through private email? That's a solid question, and I'm curious. I mean, the talk is we may not even see those drafts and whatnot, and I'm wondering if the truth would ever come out. Obviously, we have Jason Foster and Empower Oversight constantly, applying pressure to the SEC when it comes to Freedom of Information Act. But I'm curious to know if a lot of this stuff is going to be swept under the rug, due to some sort of settlement or whatever. But I think it'd be quite interesting to see really how far this thing went in regards of the rabbit hole. Coming over here, Johnny Deaton referring to Washer Gruer's tweet here says, just in the SEC has seized over 100 cell phones from Wall Street personnel to investigate insider trading. He says, Johnny Deaton says, I'm waiting until the IG or the DOJ special prosecutor seizes over a dozen cell phones from the former and current SEC personnel and subpoenas non-SEC government emails. Yeah, what could be found under that investigation? I wanted to put this video up because I think it's huge and quite interesting. And as you can see, if you've been following, the community, and you've been following this channel and other channels like Digital Asset Investor or, what is it, Moon Lambo, or any other, XRP, or it doesn't have to be XRP Eccentric, but just people that are involved in the community kind of showcasing what's been going on with this case and the ETHgate scandal stuff. As you can see, we're starting to notice that more and more, it's not just Twitter sleuths talking about, the shady behavior that's going on, but it seems like more and more media outlets and more people just out in the community in general are starting to really put their eyes on the target of kind of what's going on. All the stuff we've been trying to scream from the rooftops for over a year now. Tag XRP says, "This is the first time I've ever seen pressure on Lubin in an interview. He's squirming like a worm." So literally, listen to this. This is crazy.
It makes sense when you have the immutability of a proof of work blockchain. I don't want to put the deed to my house or my daughter's birth certificate on a proof of stake blockchain. It just doesn't have the security.
That is not correct. Proof of stake is likely to be far more secure, far less attackable. As I indicated, there are 350,000 validators currently validating Ethereum 2. There are attack vectors against proof of work systems that involve essentially hiring mining power for short periods of time and executing an attack. And then if you fail, then not that big a deal. If you fail, first of all, putting an attack together in a proof of stake system is enormously expensive because you'd have to.
But very possible, right? All you need is 51%.
Well, 51% of hundreds of billions of dollars is not easy to get to, and once you start trying to accumulate, that would drive the price of Ether up to essentially unobtainable levels.
Only if you buy it, not if you steal it.
Well, it would be very hard to steal that much Ether, I believe. So I have to disagree with you. I think it's pretty clear for people who understand.
Joe, what about the centralization? What about the centralization? Because it seems like there is a relatively small number of firms that are staking a whole bunch of different coins. Is it going to be as decentralized as a proof of work blockchain?
Well, the openness, diversity, and drive towards maximal decentralization of the Ethereum protocol is underway. 350,000 validators is a pretty big number, much bigger than any other system. And the barrier to entry for individuals or small organizations to validate the Ethereum network is very low now compared to proof of work systems. It is the case that some exchanges have sizable validator pools, and we built a technology that is just way more accessible, and it will lead to maximal decentralization.
So yeah, I thought that was quite interesting. I was watching a video earlier. The Digital Asset Investor had kind of put it up and was talking. I think it showed like a longer version of this. Man, I was like, wow, that's quite interesting. I hope someday, further down the line, like, CNBC or Yahoo Finance, CoinDesk, like they start really like, addressing, certain issues and starting to get certain truths instead of these roundabout, buzzwords that we've been given all these years, really applying pressure and getting the facts of what's going on. And the big question is like, okay, is this thing called Ethereum, is it truly, decentralized, or is it just kind of this whole making up this reality that Joe Lubin was talking about? It's crazy. Touching up on these last two things here from Cointelegraph, it says Meta trademark filing hints at plans for a crypto payments platform. It says the 5 applications suggest a social media firm may use its namesake in a payments processing platform called MetaPay. So I'm curious to see what happens with this, but filing for a trademark, I mean, I guess, obviously they're pretty serious about it. I'm curious to see where this thing is going to go, how it's going to be. Obviously Meta, Facebook, they have, or Facebook in general has, a lot of issues and hurdles that they have to overcome due to, their behavior and how they've utilized, their community and the people on their platforms, information and so on. So I'm curious to see if this thing is really going to turn out to be something. But just an update here from the Terra community. Obviously, we've been, trying to keep tabs on, what's Do Kwon and the Terra or the Luna Foundation's plan for trying to bring back to life, this Luna stuff in regards to, the community, because clearly it went from like $120 to pretty much zero, and all of the investors in UST and Luna had lost everything. So the big thing and the big conversation was, hey, our plan of attack can potentially be a fork. A lot of community members were talking about, just just burning. Why don't you burn a certain percentage of the supply? Yada yada yada. All these different things going on. But I guess Do Kwon had came out and says they're planning on having the current Luna be what is it? I think it's Luna Classic, and then they're gonna so-called fork. If this vote goes through, they're gonna fork, and there's gonna be a new Luna. So it says early polling from the Terra vote indicates 91% are in favor of rebirth, despite the overwhelming approval of the proposal. As of Wednesday, many Terra users on social media suggest the network burn is its Luna tokens. So yeah, that's still the thing. But I mean, who knows if a majority of them are voting like, hey, let's do the fork. I wonder, how many community members are actually going to be completely upset by that. But we're going to continue to follow it and kind of see what happens with them. Obviously, I want to wish this community the best. I definitely would have been devastated if it happened to me, for sure. Being a part of that and losing everything. But yeah, with all that being said, stay strong out there, be safe.